Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and finally it happened, and we thought it would never happen because JetBrains told us they will never do this, but actually they just released ReSharper for Visual Studio Code as an extension. Now, they had explicitly said they have no plans for this like 3 years ago, and now it's here, and I think that JetBrains is scared because Microsoft has been improving, and with the deprecation of Visual Studio for Mac and the release of Visual Studio Code with the C# dev kit, the experience cross-platform for C# using the dev kit is actually really good, and I was genuinely surprised. While preparing for this video, I did a few tests and I just couldn't believe how good it has gotten and how bad the ReSharper extension is compared to what Microsoft has. Now, I will explain all that here in this video, but it's surprising that we even have this because it kind of doesn't make sense. If you need a cross-platform Visual Studio, you have Rider. Like, you have that thing already. You don't need an extension. Like, it doesn't make sense. Now, this coincides with JetBrains releasing their AI assistants as an extension as well. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. Now, very quickly, to install it, all you do is you find ReSharper. It's a plugin. You install it, and then you have a ReSharper experience here. By the way, did I mention that until the 6th of June, you can get our REST API course for a month for free? Link below. Just sign up. Yours to keep forever. Back to the video. If I go over here, I have this solution explorer. I have an example of a project, and if I open this, I have a Rider theme, by the way, but this very much looks like Rider. You see, you have the nice highlighting of the type here. We don't really have any suggestions here, but if you're using Rider, that's exactly the experience you'd have with VS Code. Now, if I went here, I have a loose object, a list of objects called tests, and if I do my extension, you can see actually from the test here, it's never used ReSharper. If I do my extension for quick fixes, this is taking way longer than it should be taking. What's happening here? What's loading? Let's try this again. Here we go. Wow, that should not take that long. In any case, you have your initialize field from constructor, remove and use field, and then more actions. So these are coming from Rider. If I say initialize from constructor, it will do the thing you'd expect. It adds it here, and then it assigns it here. And then you'll probably say it's not used anywhere, so remove the field, and you can use the refactoring and remove it. That's really cool. And you have other things like, do you want to initialize this from constructor, and all of these refactorings. It's really, really nice. Even like the using statement converted to using declaration. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really, really neat. However, Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code has come a long way. So what I did is I downloaded Visual Studio Code Insiders so I can have 2 Visual Studios with separate extensions, and I installed the C# dev kit and the C# extension. So if I go over here and I go to the exact same project, as you can see, not only do I have basically the exact same thing, so remove and use parameter or add parameters to the processor interface, so I can do this and then just assign it. Basically same thing with the remove. So it doesn't really change anything. Even the using statement, look, I can go here and say use simple using statement, no ReSharper. The C# dev kit and Visual Studio Code has gotten so far. Not only are they faster in my experience, more performant, more snappy in Visual Studio Code with a dev kit than ReSharper, but you also kind of have all the same suggestions anyway, because Microsoft saw what JetBrains did and they caught up. That's not to trash talk ReSharper. It was revolutionary 10 years ago, but nowadays Microsoft caught up, and with the release of the hinted release of an upcoming Visual Studio, I want to see what that changes. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think Rider is still better than both Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code with a C# dev kit, or ReSharper for that matter. But the surprising thing for me out of this experience of me exploring all the features and going like, look, I'm going to try to debug this project, right? What do? You go here, you slap a breakpoint, you say debug this project, and it's going to start doing all the things, and you have your little breakpoint here. Look, I can see what's going on. I can see it's a lovely, lovely experience debugging. Now I go to ReSharper, and it's like, I can't debug. Like, there is no run button. Yeah, okay, I can go to terminal and say .NET run, but the whole point of, like, it's the quality of life, right? .NET run, yeah, what are you looking to run? Let's run this, .NET run, here we go. someone's being chased by the police outside my house. But this isn't really a better experience. And even like, look, the app settings, development and JSON, those are both top level. But here, they're nice and collapsed, and you can just expand them. Now, it's not as colorful as the ReSharper version. Like, this is not nice, this is not nice. And I never like that when you click this, it opens the CS Proj. I would love it to collapse it, but that's nitpicks. You know how much I like Rider, and you know how much I like what JetBrains has been putting out for the past years. But in my experience, Rider has gotten slower. The new features have gotten, well, not slower, that just Microsoft keeps adding whatever JetBrains is adding anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then to release this in this state as a preview. I mean, look, you go here, you want to add a NuGet package in the ReSharper version. What do? I can't right-click dependencies. This is crazy. Like, what is happening? And not only that, like projects here, anything. I can click this and I can say add, and I can add the class and build. But like, I honestly like don't get it. If you go to Visual Studio, like you want to add a package, you go to the project, you say add NuGet package, and you just type the name Humanizer and you enter, and it's going to search for it and you just add it. Go figure. It's that simple. Like, why do you release it at this point? I don't know if they were trying to be fast for some reason, like to catch up with something, but I think that this kind of looks desperate from JetBrains because they don't need this. And I don't see this taking off. I don't really see many people using ReSharper. Like, if you have a ReSharper license, you're probably going to use Rider anyway. You're not going to use VS Code with... I don't know. If you know why this could possibly make sense, leave a comment down below and let me know, because to me, it makes zero sense. Well, that's all I had for you for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, keep riding.